How's it going, everyone? And welcome back to another episode of the Geeky Gentleman, the podcast for all your geeky needs, fashion, and lifestyle tips, all rolled into one perfectly packaged podcast. Today's episode, I'm talking about the upcoming Marvel's Avengers RPG game and my first-hand experience in playing the new video game, which is due to come out in May 2020. Alrighty then, enough said, let's jump right into the podcast. Marvel's Avengers is an upcoming action-adventure game that is being published by Square Enix. Now, these are the same people that put up the amazing Final Fantasy games. The game is, of course, inspired by the long-running comic book mythology of the Avengers, but fans should take note that it has no connection to the film franchises, aka the MCU. The game is scheduled to be released on Windows, PlayStation 4, and Xbox One on May 15th, 2020. One of the cool things about the game is that it can be played offline as a single-player experience or online with up to 4 people during certain parts of the game. Players will be able to customize options for each of their favorite Avengers, such as abilities through upgrading their respective skill trees. The game promises to give fans a multitude of costumes from every corner of the Marvel Universe that can be bought as downloadable content. So even though it has no connection into the MCU, you could probably wear, Thor's costume from Thor Ragnarok, and, you'll have all the costumes from the MCU films. So, you know what? It's still kind of connected, possibly, fingers crossed. Marvel's Avengers will feature a large roster and playable characters consisting primarily of Captain America, Iron Man, Hulk, Black Widow, Thor, Hank Pym, Hawkeye, and Miss Marvel. The story revolves around A-Day, in which the Avengers are celebrating the unveiling of their second headquarters in San Francisco and their own helicarrier powered by a Terrigen crystal. But alas, things go awry when a catastrophic incident results in San Francisco being destroyed and the apparent death of Captain America. Now, of course, the Avengers get blamed and they're forced to disband. At this point, the game fast forwards 5 years, and AIM is rebuilding the city, and they have officially outlawed superheroes. But Kamala Khan, who we know eventually becomes Miss Marvel, begins uncovering a wider conspiracy and embarks on a quest to reassemble Earth's mightiest heroes. So I've been personally waiting for a game like this forever. A full-on, high-grade superhero RPG featuring all my favorite Avengers. I was luckily invited to be one of the first people in the United Kingdom to play the game at an event in London hosted by Virgin Media, and the game does not disappoint. The graphics are fantastic. They really are, guys. They're amazing, and albeit the only criticism I have is the way that Black Widow's hair and Thor's beard looked. Now, I say this because I'm a big Final Fantasy fan. I've played most of the games minus 2 of them. And they also are made by Square Enix, the people who are making this game. And I know that they know how to make realistic animated hair. And I don't know if they were trying to do something different with Black Widow's hair and Thor's beard, but it just doesn't look as good as it could look. And it doesn't look as good as I know that they probably could animate it. So that was just my one thing. That's my one thing. I still give the game a solid 99.9. That 0.001% is just that fact. But other than that, it really does look good, guys. It really does. At the event, I was able to play the beginning part of the game, and I had a chance to check out most of the main heroes. Now, the developers of the game did a remarkable job of making each of these heroes feel unique in terms of gameplay. Now, I'm going to break down briefly all the heroes I got to play. Thor. Now, I really think I enjoyed playing Thor the most. His lightning attacks had a lot of AoE damage and were perfect for crowd control, so when there's a lot of AIM agents around you, this is the hero you want to play as. One of the highlights for me when I went through the whole fighting tutorial, the game showed me how to throw Mjolnir. Now, naturally, I threw Mjolnir and I just was waiting for him to automatically come back, but that actually never happened. I actually had to manually call him back, and as he returned to my hand, any enemies that were in the way got hit by it. It was such a great experience and really made me feel like I was the God of Thunder because I was not expecting all those heroes to get smacked by it as Mjolnir returned to my hand. It was amazing. It just literally, I felt like I was Thor. I did. Iron Man. Now, I also had a blast playing as Iron Man. Now, there's a section when I was flying and I was shooting at some targets, and it was a whole lot of fun, but kind of somewhat challenging. This part of the game definitely is going to be a learning curve for me, because I found it a bit tricky steering Iron Man and then trying to aim and then fire my beams at enemies. I was I was not doing well at first, and I'm usually good at this stuff, and I was not rocking it out, guys. And I'm sure, given time, I will master flying Iron Man, so it might take some of you guys a little bit too, but it was fun. Like, you're literally just flying around going, it was awesome. In the normal fighting scenarios, Iron Man can dish out punishment with his physical attacks and firing his repulsor rays while attacking from the ground or air. And his Unibeam heroic attack had me taking down enemies as I was able to move the attack across the screen and hitting multiple foes. Like, I literally was just like, whoosh! Like, all those people who listen to the podcast and not watching the video one, you're really missing out on a treat right now. The Hulk. Okay, so I literally was smashing shit left and right as the Hulk. You can see the strength in the Hulk as he fights and is pushing back the enemies with ease in comparison to the other superheroes. One of his attacks where he claps his hands together to release a massive sonic boom towards his enemies was spot on. I mean, you could just see how the attack affects the area around him versus just the enemies. And there was also this section when you're the Hulk and you're basically like jumping across the Golden Gate Bridge as it's like falling apart. And it was just once again one of those moments where you actually felt like the Hulk with his massive hurling through the air. Like, it was just like, boom, it was just awesome. Captain America. Now, when I got to play Captain America after playing the other superheroes, you could definitely see how much effort went into making these characters fight differently. Now, the fighting styles are so different, especially in terms of the physical attacking. Captain America's fighting style was very reminiscent of the MCU films and how he uses a shield in conjunction with his physical attacks. Black Widow. Now, Black Widow I have expected to be the most boring in terms of fighting capabilities, but I was proven wrong. Her fighting style is so visceral, and she's doing all those epic attacks with her legs that we've grown to love from the films. Again, you really feel like these characters. At any point when I was fighting as Black Widow, I was able to pull out my twin guns and fire at the enemies while seamlessly changing to more of a physical attack style. I literally was like flipping and kicking and punching and then pulling out my guns and shoot, 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 bang, 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 putting them away, fighting, attacking, leg twists. It was just pure epicness. It was just so awesome. And then she's just like pounding people with her fists. People are going to love playing Black Widow. And FYI, have you seen the trailer? Marvel has done such a good job in creating an RPG that fans are going to love. And once you guys play the game, you're going to be able to see the details and the attention that they gave to each character, making sure that no character feels like another one, and that you're going to be able to want to play all the characters because they're just going to feel so vastly different and you want to explore each of them to the fullest. I was lucky because I was actually able to chat up the game director, Sean Escaig, about the game, and although he didn't let any cats out of the bag, and trust me, I gave him so many questions and he was very, very coy, it does sound like fans can look forward to have more playable Avengers joining the game down the line. So if your favorite Avenger isn't in the game just yet, hold tight, because it looks like more will be added later. So personally, I cannot wait until they add Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch. Like, those are the two Avengers that I want to be playing as, and I am going to kick so much butt with them. And there you have it, gentlemen. Marvel's Avengers RPG is on its way, and if you're a fan of the Avengers, you will definitely have to check this game out. Thanks again for listening to another episode of The Geeky Gentleman. Don't forget to subscribe and rate the podcast. That always makes my day. Feel free to drop me a DM on Instagram. I'm @DriftingDecal, and I'd love to hear which Avenger you want the developers to add into the game. If you want more content from me, feel free to visit my blog at www.driftingdudes.com, and until our next podcast adventure, I'll talk at you guys later. Bye.